Alright guys, this is a fun activity where we're going to learn about particle systems, and we're going to use some of the keyframes that we learned about yesterday. So go ahead and start a new file, and we're all going to start by going to the top view. So click on the Z on your gizmo, the blue one, and it should say top orthographic right here. The very first thing we're going to do is change that cube and give it some materials. So you guys get to pick whatever color you want. I'm going to choose a nice blue color, and I'm going to go up here to my materials preview so I can see what it looks like. Maybe I'll make it a little bit darker, and that looks pretty nice. I'm happy with my cube. Now we're going to save this cube, but we don't want it to get in the way, so we're going to go ahead and hide the cube by clicking on the eyeball in the outliner. You can also press the H key on your keyboard, and you can bring it back anytime by clicking on the eyeball, or H. Alright, so now we are going to add some text. Add text, and you should see the text because we're in top view. If you forgot to put it in top view, you might see something that looks like this. Oh no, I don't see my text. You could rotate it and look at it in this view too, but it's easier if we just go to the top view and look at it this way. Let's edit the text by going to edit mode. Just hit backspace, and you get to put your name. So I will put my name, first and last. You can put your first and last, you can put your first, you can put your last, or if you want to put a nickname, that's fine too. Put whatever you want. This is yours. And let's go back to object mode once you have your name. I'm going to pan my view over so it's more centered. I'm going to click on this hand right here and just drag it over. There we go, and we're going to make some changes to our text to make it look a little bit nicer. So come over here into your properties. Make sure you're clicked on your text. Click on the wrench. Click on object data. And because it's text, the object data looks like a little A. And we're going to do a couple things here. Click on geometry to see all the geometry options. And we're going to extrude this. So if I just click here and I just start dragging it, you'll see that my text is getting bigger. I'm extruding it. Whoa. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 0.05. And that's a good thickness. I can click back to Z to go back to my front view. And now I'm going to bevel my text to round off the corners and make it look nice. I'll angle it off so you guys can see the difference. Under bevel, we're going to choose 0.02. And the resolution will just turn down to 2. So for my text, all I did was I changed the extrude to 0.05, the bevel to 0.02, and the resolution to 2. Now we're ready to give it some materials, and we want the materials to be exactly the same as the cube. So don't add a new material. Click on the little drop down and choose the material that you already created. Boop. I'm going to go back to front view by clicking on the Z on the gizmo. Now we're going to add a particle system. If you are clicked on your text right now, you don't see a button for the particle system. And that's because you can't put a particle system on text. So we have to convert this text into a mesh, which is what we're used to working with anyway. So go to Object, go to Convert, and choose Mesh. Now you'll see a particle system button appear, and we can add a particle system. Click on that particle system, and click the plus sign to add a new particle system. By default, it comes out with 1,000 particles. And without changing any of the properties, if I come over to my timeline and press play, you can see what it looks like. It looks pretty amazing already. So now we're going to change some settings. We don't want those particles to pop out right away. We want to be able to see our text. So for the start frame, we're going to change that to 20. And for the end frame, we're going to change it to 30. So all 1,000 of those particles are going to come out between 20 and 30. The lifetime, we're going to change to 100. So after all of those particles are out at frame 30, they will stay on the screen for 100 frames, so by frame 130, they'll be gone. Let's come down here to the render section. We're going to change render as, and we're going to change the particles to an object. The object, we're going to make our cube. So click on Instance Object and choose your cube. Now watch what happens. Amazing, right? So now every single one of those little particles we have turned into that cube. So in theory, you could change those particles to whatever you wanted to. So if you were doing an animation and you needed some rain, you could turn it into a raindrop and have them fall down. You could turn it into hair. Have you ever wondered, how do they animate every single hair on a character's head? Well, we changed ours into cubes, but this hair on characters is also done with particle systems, and you'll see it here. So if I change it to hair, there's a hair setting right there too. That looks weird. Keep it on emitter, obviously. Alright, so let's change some more settings. So if we go down to velocity, we're going to change the normal value to 0. And you'll see what that's going to do. It's going to make them kind of stick on our letters here. And we're also going to come down to field weights, and we're going to turn gravity off. So turn the gravity value to 0 as well. Let's play it and see what we have now. And you can keep playing this as you make different changes. And now you'll see those particles are really sticking to my name, and that's what I want for now. Okay, so let's review what we've done for our particles. We started the frame at 20. We ended the particles at 30. We changed the lifetime to 100. We changed the velocity normals to 0. We changed the render to render as object. We changed the object to our cube. We changed the field weights to take the gravity off to 0. And the velocity, did I say we already turned that to 0? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a force field. So go up here to add force field, and we're going to add some turbulence to those particles. This orange cross is our force field, so we're going to grab it. So press G, lock it to X, and just slide it over. You want to center that in the middle of your text. And we're going to increase the strength of that force field to 2. So come over here to your physics and change the strength to 2. Now let's watch. And you can see the turbulence that's happening with your particles. Now it's time to create some keyframes. So yesterday we went over how to create keyframes and animate something simple. The letter to insert a keyframe is the letter I. So rewind your animation back to frame 1. You can also enter the value here. And we're going to go over to our particles. So click on your text. Go to your particles. Scroll up. go down to your render settings. So make sure you have selected your text. Click on particles. Go to the render settings. And right here, there's a check mark where it says show emitter. Don't uncheck it. Hover above that one, that check mark, and just press the letter I. And it'll turn yellow. And as we learned yesterday, these little yellow diamonds are keyframes. So by pressing I, we have created a keyframe. So now we're going to go to frame 30. And we're going to press I again. And now we're going to go to frame 31. So I can enter that here, or I can just drag it to 31 here. And I'm going to uncheck that emitter. And I'm going to press I again. So now I've made 3 keyframes. The first 2 are going to make sure that the text stays visible until frame 30. And then as soon as all those particles come out, the text is going to disappear. And then the rest of what we do is going to be dealing with those particles. So now we're going to put some keyframes on the particles themselves. So on frame 31, the particles are 0.05 in scale. So I'm going to put a keyframe on that by pressing I. And we're going to end our animation at frame 130. So type 130 here. And we're going to change this value to a very, very small value, 0.001. And we're going to put another keyframe by pressing I. So there's your keyframe. So from here to here, those particles are going to shrink from 0.05 to 0.001. So they're going to get very, very small. So if I play what I have so far, okay, and in my render, the text will disappear at frame 30. So this is a good time to save what you have. This is day 1. File, save as, choose a folder destination, and call it your name, dissolve text. Save as, and we will continue day 2 tomorrow.